everyone, and welcome to blog 31 of Tackle the Feelings Before the Behaviour. And today's blog is called Our 6 Core Emotions. And I've been wanting to put this video out for a while because I want to help you just get an idea of the main ones, the ones I've identified as the core emotions. And I'm not alone in this. Many theorists will identify either these 6 core emotions or similar ones, sometimes a bit less, sometimes a bit more. But the ones I resonate with and I see in the work that I do with children and families is there are about 6 main emotions, and under each emotion you get associated emotions and emotions that all sort of have a core of that main emotion. And so for breaking it down's sake, I'm just going to go through each of those emotions, why we have them, because I think that's important. And if you're teaching kids about emotions, it's really good to focus on the benefits of the emotions. And for yourself, if you're doing inner child work or journeying or trying to figure out more about yourself, then it's really good to have an understanding of what each emotion is and how it benefits you. What is its purpose? Because we want to be building healthy relationships with our emotions. We don't want to be in resistance to them and being caused suffering by them and feeling at the mercy of them. So the more you understand your emotions and yourself and how they work and how you experience them, the more you're able to gain control and learn about your needs and meet your needs, so that you're not running as if something's pulling strings and you're just at the mercy of your reactions and your behaviors. So the 6 core emotions, to run through them briefly now, we've got fear, anger, disgust, sadness, shame, and joy or happiness. So those are the 6 I've identified as the main emotions, and these are what all humans have. Doesn't matter what culture or race or sex or any of those defining characteristics are, we're all born with a set of emotions. And what changes from person to person is those cultural, social conditions and the way we've been brought up and taught how to express our emotions, what's right and wrong in our particular culture, in our families, and the people that we're around. That's how we express our emotions, what we do with our emotions. That'll be different. But that we feel them, and that we all feel those 6 core emotions and a range of associated emotions due to those 6 core emotions, that is what links us. That's a human trait. That's what makes us human beings. That's what connects all of us, are our emotions. So, when you look at fear, I want you to think about how fear serves you. A lot of you will know that fear alerts you to harm, to danger, to threats. And it's how we perceive those harms and those threats that is what causes us fear. So if we perceive something like walking a really, really high building as threatening because we feel fear of the consequences of falling off that building or the sheer height of it, we'll develop maybe a fear of heights. And that's because how we perceive that as harmful to us. And so we don't want to do it. That fear is protecting us. It's about protecting us. That is the purpose of fear. The associated emotions that go along with fear are things like stability, your sense of safety in the world, security. So those are the big ones. And fear is a really huge emotion that a lot of people don't have regulated very well, myself included. And that means for us, we walk around with a feeling that the world is not a safe place. And it links in with self-trust and things, what I'll talk about shame later on. And this emotion with jealousy and our need for control and containment and reassurance so that we can feel safe and secure and stable in the world. So fear is a big one. Then you get anger. Now, anger, a lot of you might have even realized that it's better sometimes to feel angry than it is to feel pain or hurt or sadness and sorrow, because anger is a powerful emotion. Anger is what helps us stand up for ourselves, to set boundaries for ourselves, to know what we want in our lives and what we don't, what we will stand for and what we'll stand against. It's about right and wrong for us and ourselves personally, and people who violate those boundaries we've set ourselves, that come in, maybe break into your home or treat you disrespectfully or abuse you. That is a reason for you to get angry, because it's telling you to fight for yourself, to stand up for yourself, to value yourself. So anger is about maintaining and protecting those boundaries. It's self-protection. So the next one you get is disgust. And disgust can be quite tricky because we all see it as something that's sort of a smell or a food or something that's really off, and you see the face I pull when I just think of something disgusting. That face is also something, strangely enough, they're sort of finding out that most people pull that face. Doesn't matter if they're blind or not blind, whether you've seen it or not, it seems to be something that comes with that emotion, which is important for you to understand how we physically express our emotions, especially when you're teaching your children. So disgust is usually revolt. You feel revolting or repulsion, repelled against something. It's really violated. And it's also linked in to your emotional disgust, which is about judgment and fairness and your morals and your values and what you think is, again, sense of right and wrong. And disgust is there to help protect us from harm. But the thing, instead of like fear, that perceived harm, this is more a real physical harm, something that's going to make us ill, something that's going to be toxic for us, that's going to be bad for us, it's going to make us sick in some way, mentally or physically. Disgust is there to alert us to that, to protect us from that. If you're feeling sick to the stomach, nauseated at the thought of putting something in your mouth, don't do it. Your body is alerting you that that could do you harm. And there's a lot of things that we don't know about ourselves that research and science, they can't figure out yet. So we've got this internal guidance system, which is our emotions, and understanding things like disgust and paying attention to things like your fears, like when you're angry. If you know that when you're angry, your boundaries are getting violated, you need to maintain your boundaries, fight for yourself. And then you get the emotion sadness. So sadness, people, is one of the most underregulated emotions. In my culture and where I've traveled to and been around, is this emotion is so underregulated. People are so afraid to be around people who are sad because they don't know how to be sad themselves. When we come from cultures, most of us, when someone's sad, we want to cheer them up. And that is a beautiful intention and it's a wonderful thing to want to do. But when parents are doing that to their children, they are not teaching them how to process whatever it is that they've become sad about. You are trying to bypass that level where sadness creates withdrawal and isolation and a downtime. It's a real low, despairing sorrow, flat. It's crying. It's high emotion, low energy, low motivation. Depression comes from sadness. Sadness is there to slow you down and help you process loss. Loss is everywhere. When we make decisions, we're choosing something at the loss of something else. We have loss all the time, and sadness is there to help us process those, especially those big losses like grief. We need to have a period where we are sad. We need to be able to be sad without someone being worried that this is something bad. Sadness is so incredibly healthy for us. We need to be sad, each and every one of us, to take that time to process. And a lot of families don't like this culture of sadness. So it's a huge one. The next one is shame. And this is a very, very misunderstood emotion, and most people don't know about shame, but it is inherent in each and every one of us, and I see it in pretty much most people I have met. And this is different to guilt. Guilt, you feel you've done something wrong. Shame is when you feel you are fundamentally wrong. There's something lacking about you. Shame is that feeling of emptiness. It's that feeling of powerlessness, of embarrassment, humiliation at who you are as a person. And this happens all the time when we are not allowed to be who we are, not allowed to be our authentic selves, when we are being socialized, when we're learning things and someone's putting down our wishes and what we want and our expression. Someone's not hearing us or seeing us. Someone's not understanding us. Someone's not teaching us our emotions. Someone is thinking that when we're angry because what we really are is frightened, and we're getting punished, and parents are punishing children. This creates such a shame, and that shame is the root to your self-esteem and your self-confidence and your self-worth and how you value yourself in the world. It also links to trust and self-trust. And this is so important for you to make decisions, for you to have confidence, for you to have lasting relationships. And so finally, the last emotion is the good one, and that is your happiness and your joy. And that is directly linked to your inner child. That is your authentic self. Because underneath all the problems and issues and everything, underneath it all, you are fundamentally joy and happiness. Your inner child is carefree, creative, inspired, playful, living in the present, living in the moment. That is your inner child. But in the same place where your inner child sits your traumas and your hurts and your past experiences that have been difficult and not processed. And so we develop coping mechanisms, and we get triggered by things. We have overreactions to things. We have things in our unconscious that we don't know and that we've got to heal, and that are constantly coming up for healing. And the way to do this and do this properly is to form this healthy relationship with your emotions. And the way to help your kids is to regulate emotions, to teach them how to manage their emotions. Teach them how to recognize emotions and process them in the moment so they do not become a trauma later on. Teach them how to value themselves. So I hope that's been helpful. I will make individual videos down the track for each of those emotions that you can just go to if you're teaching your kids or you're going through a particular emotion and want to be reminded. But this was a snapshot, and I urge you all to keep going and looking this stuff up. It's really, really important. And we're living in an emotional dark age, as Teal Swan, the spiritual catalyst, would say. So I wish you all well. Take care. Bye.